We are good to go.
Okay, awesome. So welcome to the City of Highland Parks meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals for June 5th, 2025. Patrick, can you call the roll, please?
Yeah.
Folks, if you want to have a conversation, that's fine outside. Okay.
You can use the gavel.
Oh, next week use the gavel. Okay, maybe you talk.
Okay. So,
Oh, I apologize.
okay. Member Weisberg?
Here.
Member Wolf? Member Zaransky? Member Chase?
Here.
Member Trashansky?
Here.
Vice Chair Yablon?
Here.
And Chair Bay. We have a quorum.
Okay, excellent. So the first item is approval of minutes. Has the board had the opportunity to review the April 17th, 2025 minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, would anyone like to make a motion to approve then?
I will make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Excellent. So the motion's been made. All those in favor of approving the minutes of April 17th, 2025, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? None. Okay, so the minutes have been approved. And is there any business from the public tonight? Anything that's not on the agenda? Okay, and Patrick, we have no old business. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so let's move on to new business, which is for VAR 2025-00047 for the property located at 175 Prospect Avenue. The appellants technically are 175 Prospect LLC, and they are requesting a variation of provision section 150.711 to construct a new primary structure that will encroach into the established building setback. Excuse me. Patrick, I assume you have a presentation?
Yes. There we go. Okay. So 175 Prospect Avenue. Applicant 175 Prospect Avenue, or Prospect LLC, on the behalf of the current owners. The proposal is to encroach into the established building setback for a new single-family home. The property is located in the R4 zoning district and the lakefront overlay character and design, or density overlay zone. The existing home was built in 1901, according to the Lake County Assessor's Office. The requested relief is to encroach into the established building setback of 68.5 feet along Prospect Avenue by 28.5 feet for a new primary structure. The home is located here at the corner of Lake and Prospect. Here is an aerial of the property here. There is a little bit of steep slope zone in the back, and again, it is a corner lot with 2 side yard requirements. The existing home currently sits about 80 feet away from the Prospect Avenue frontage and 42 feet from the Lake Avenue frontage. Some property photos of the existing structure. This is from Prospect, and this is from behind the house. So, the proposed structure is highlighted here in yellow. The required setbacks are this red line here. These are the 2 front yard requirements, and noted the steep slope zone cuts into the setbacks for the other portions. This dotted line here is the required side yard setbacks, but the steep slope zone is more restrictive on this property, so it is highlighted here as this is the buildable area. The applicant would like to build their home 40 feet, which is the R4 zoning minimum front yard requirement. There is no established building setback along Lake. It is only for the Prospect frontage. So they would like to build their house at that minimum in order to preserve some of the buildable area in the back of the house. So the established building setback, again, the current house sits at about 80 feet back from the front property line, and the average is calculated with the 4 properties to the west, averaging out to 68.5 feet. Here's a topographic picture of the property showing again that steep slope zone in the back that is affecting the rear of this property. This property also went in front of the Historic Preservation Commission on March 13th of this year, and it was found that it satisfied 7 of the landmark criteria, meaning that it was imposed with a 365-day demo delay. So if approved and permits were to go forward, they cannot demo this house until February 14th of 2026. I forgot to post the forestry memo in the packet, so I have provided a paper copy here. If anyone would like to see that, it is available here. I'll just leave that information there if you'd like to see it. But in short summary, the property has a few key and protected trees, but there are no heritage trees on the property that will be affected by this project, and all matters of tree preservation will be reviewed and addressed during the permitting process. I didn't receive any other commentary prior or post packet posting, and no other building divisions had additional comments. So, to review, the request is to encroach into the established building setback of 68.5 feet along Prospect Ave by 28.5 feet for a new primary structure. I ask the board to use the Chapter 150 standards of approval. And let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have questions for Patrick?
There's been no neighbors to this point who have submitted anything for or against?
No written comments. I do see that there's a fair few people here, but no written comments yet. I've had a few phone calls, but nothing formally submitted.
Thank you. Any other questions for Patrick? No. It looks like I see Mr. Bernstein. Would you?
Thank you,
Oh,
Madam Chairman.
thank you.
Chairwoman, chairperson.
it's all good. Before you start, just, I guess, to inform you as well as everyone else in the audience who may wish to speak, we have a new check-in procedure, which is if you'd like to speak and then receive information back, we'll need you to sign by the podium your name and address. We did away with people giving their name and address in case burglars were listening. I know.
So I'm not going to give my address.
No,
Okay.
no, not here on the written piece of paper.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do I need to sign in? No, good. Okay, thank you.
So then we'll start. Do you affirm that the testimony that you give tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Excellent.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming in tonight and with only one matter on the agenda, so I'll get right to it. This property is a unique property in Highland Park. It's a corner lot. It is constrained by, as it was noted by planner Hoffman, it's constrained by ravines both to the north and to the west, which limits the amount of the tableland. The lot also slopes from front to back, so it goes from south to north into the ravine, which creates, if you had an opportunity to drive by the property, you could see that there's a significant slope, which also makes it difficult to redevelop this property. There are people here in the audience tonight. Many of the same people were at the Historical Preservation Commission. Obviously, what happened there has really no relevance. It's not part of the standards that we're applying tonight. So I'll just jump into those standards. As you know, and we've talked about this in the past with other cases, the purpose of the established front yard setback is, and that the public policy behind it, is that when a block is created that is in excess of the minimum allowed in the zoning district. So for example, if a zoning district provides for a 40-foot front yard setback, but over time, for example, in Sheridan Road between Cedar and all the way to Linden, over time, setbacks get created that are greater than the minimum. And so the city, looking at that, they wanting houses to kind of line up against each other, line up on the block, they created what's called the established front yard setback regulation. This was not one of the blocks that I'm guessing that the city's planners at the time was actually considering. This block is very unique. It's a very short block. It's not a long block. The property in question, the picture that Planner Hoffman showed really did not do justice. From the street, you can't barely see the home because there's a tremendous amount of growth in front of the home. In addition, as you go from east to north, the lots are materially different. That's because of the ravine. The ravine on this block only really affects the property in question, which is 175 and 203. And so when the ravine only affects those two properties, what happens? Those houses need to be located closer to the street. And so 203 is actually 33 feet from the street, which is legally non-conforming, both to the established front yard and also to the minimum that's currently allowed in the zoning district. As you go to the west, you see 215, 235, and 247. Those are very deep lots because they're not impacted by the ravine. They're not stubbed off by that. And so those lots had a greater ability to build homes that are set back further from the street. And so over time, over the last 100 years, that is what happened. So to redevelop 175, we're asking to be able to go closer to the street to have a functional backyard. And because half of the lot is in the steep slope and considered ravine property. In addition, there's a 23-inch linden tree that we're trying to preserve as best as possible. And just addressing the standards, really, what comes in is let's focus on the hardship. I mean, this is a corner lot. It's at the end of the block. So if this is closer to the street, consistent with the house directly next door, which actually, as proposed, this house will be set back further than the house directly to the west. And that's where the block begins. So in that respect, the hardship is because a much larger established front yard setback is being applied to a house where, as you can see from this is really demonstrative, is that the lots to the west are such, except for the house directly next door, are such different lots. And they are not as shallow, and therefore it gives a greater ability to build a house. I don't believe that corner lot is part of the survey because that fronts on another street. But those lots right there, you can see how deep they are. The average and the established front yard setback number is corrupted by those very deep lots. As you can note, there's very little streetscape. It's a very short block with widely varied front yards, so a front yard setback. So it's not, these houses are not lining up over time, that they vary from 33 feet all the way up to 88 feet. The site context, the block topography, and the existing streetscape is driving this request. And so when we look to redevelop this property, we kind of look to the property directly next to it and try to line it up as best as possible. But that house is legally non-conforming. We're not looking to do it 33 feet. We're looking to do what's in the minimum in the zoning district. So that's all I have tonight. We believe that all of the standards are addressed. In our narrative, we did address each and every standard. If you want to go into detail any more of them, this is a case that the zoning board has heard in the past, and it's really, it's the ravine and the site context is creating the hardship and is driving the request to move the house closer to the street in order to have a functioning backyard. And what I would say is a very large lot, which only half of it is considered usable. So we're available for any questions. The architect is here also tonight if you have any questions. And thank you very much for coming in tonight and considering our request.
Thank you. I have a question to begin, and then I'll ask the rest of the board. How does the proposed new home compare in size to the old home?
That I don't have. Do you have that information, Michael? We could try to look for that information. Yeah, what are we proposing with this one? Right now, we're just in schematics, we just have a concept at this point. So obviously, it's a very large lot, and we could build a very large house on this property, but we're limited in the tableland. And also, we're limited also the tableland and also to have a functioning backyard with a pool and other things. So because obviously we have to be away from the steep slope zone. And I'm trying to dance a little bit, so while Michael's looking that up.
Again, we just have a concept.
Just tell me, because I'm not sworn in.
if you'd
You're not
like-
sworn in, just tell me what it is.
Oh, well, we're permitted that, but I think we're going to be at 5,000.
Okay, so we're permitted over 11,000 square foot house, and we're eyeballing a 5,000 square foot house.
Okay, thank you. Did anyone else on the board have a question for?
And why we're permitted such a large house is because it's a large lot, but most of it is unusable because it's in the ravine.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else from your team who'd like to speak?
No.
Okay, in that case, I'd like to open it up to the public for comment. If you'd step up to the podium.
Good evening.
Good evening. Do you affirm that the testimony you intend to provide this evening is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Excellent. Please proceed.
My name is William Levy. I live, since we're not stating addresses, I live nearby at the southeast corner of Lake and Laurel in a historic home, which we carefully and lovingly saved from the wrecking ball and preserved over the course of time. There's a couple of points that I'd like to address with respect to this request for a zoning variance. When we talk first about water flow south to north and the slope and the fact that that creates a hardship and an inability to redevelop on the house's present footprint, my commentary to that is there's really no reason to redevelop the house. The existing home is important and significant, and it really should be preserved. In addition, when we talk about the redevelopment lining up with 203, it doesn't really line up with 203, the residence. It lines up with the garage, which projects in front of 203. The proposed siting on this particular lot is really far too close to the street. When we talk about variance requests, we talk about hardship. And I'm having a real hard time understanding where the hardship is. We're talking about building a house with a much larger footprint, sited much further up on the lot, so that, from what I understand, a very sizable swimming pool can be built and developed in the backyard. I'm having a hard time understanding the hardship of that. Certainly, if this house is lost and a new house is built, a house with a smaller footprint set further back from the street would be far more desirable. We also talk about a linden tree. Okay, a linden tree is not a heritage tree, nor is it a key tree. I don't think that tree, of course I want to preserve as many trees as I can in town, but I don't think that is justification for taking and seeking the action that the applicant seeks. For these reasons, I, as a neighbor, object to the variance, regardless of the historic significance of the house.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone on the board have questions for this witness? Thank you so much for your testimony. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Please. If you could state your name.
Good evening, I'm Lauren Wood, and I live directly across.
Do you affirm that the testimony you intend to provide this evening is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I live directly across the street from the subject home, and I too have a Howard Van Doren Shaw home. And I know we're not here tonight to dispute the, architectural significance of the home, but I have restored my 100-year-old home over the last 5 years, just as this nice gentleman, Bill, has also done to his. Since then, it's been a labor of love and we've enjoyed the neighborhood. I'm also a real estate agent and I have been in this community for the last 5 years. I grew up on the North Shore. And part of the whole reason to live in this pocket of town, in this neighborhood, is for, the charm and the character of the community here. Howard Van Doren Shaw is one of the most important architects of the early American architects that we have in the 20th century. And he's really shaped the identity of the North Shore, right? So it just it creates this, living history here. And while I understand the National Registry or Register designation doesn't prevent demolition, it does affirm the significance of this home and this district, and I urge the board to consider what it does signify, that this home is part of a recognized historic district and one that contributes to the culture and the aesthetic fabric of our town. So replacing this 4,000 square foot home with a much larger home, much closer to the street, kind of disrupts the rhythm and the charm of that, which makes our neighborhood so special. So our neighborhood is a blend, obviously, of new and older homes, but there's a delicate balance there, and with, charm and cohesion, and it's worth preserving. I encourage you to, I'm contesting this variance, especially because I live across the street and have a much shorter setback, and the fact that people are saying that the yard is unusable is just a little, seems to be a little confusing to me, because there's such a nice big front yard in the home now, and there's also a side area of the yard that we see the current owner's grandchildren playing in, and there's plenty of room on the lot that it doesn't seem like it's necessary to go forward and disrupt that character and charm of the neighborhood. So that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that cares to speak? Please. Will you state your name?
Sinan Akhtar.
Okay, and do you affirm that the testimony that you intend to provide this evening is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you.
Sinan.
Perfect.
Akhtar.
Thanks.
I'm the owner of 203 Prospect, and I just, with regard to our setback, it is just our garage that is the number that they're using, and our house is actually over 30 feet, behind it, behind that line. That's all I had to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. And I can say, thanks.
Wait, sorry, I would have one question.
Oh, I apologize. I'm sorry, I forgot to ask the board. Please.
Is there something about the proposal that you feel would affect your property? In a negative way?
No, I don't think it would affect my property.
Okay, yeah, that's it.
Thank you. No more questions? All right. Anyone else would like to speak? Please. Hi, if you could.
If you don't want.
If you could state your name?
My name is Jean Sogan.
Okay.
I don't live nearby, I live further south.
Okay.
But
Do you affirm that the testimony you intend to provide this evening is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
yes,
Excellent. Please proceed.
thank you. I don't think you have enough information to grant a variance tonight. That the architect said that he thinks it's about a 5,000 square foot house. I was trying to do rough measurements from the site plan, and it looked like just the first floor was about 4,000 square feet. And I sure could be wrong, but you don't have the information about how big is the house. And the question of what it looks like is it's going to be like a solid wall, 40 feet setback from the front lot line. And that's, depending on how big the house is, that could be just massive, or it could be not so bad. But to grant a variance for one of the key houses in a National Register district without really understanding what's being proposed doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I've been on the Historic Preservation Commission for a long time, and we aren't allowed to ask what's going to be replaced. Is it going to be replaced with? And that because that's for you. And I don't think you have that information. The other point I'd like to make is that the forester said that the 23-inch linden that they said was part of the reason why they wanted to move forward would be adversely affected by constructing the swimming pool, and he's figuring that it would just be part of the tree removal. So what it looks like is that Cal talked about the fact that it's a ravine property and there isn't a lot of tableland. The whole site is more than an acre, and if about half of it is in the ravine or on the other side of the ravine, that still leaves a half an acre that's buildable, and you can build a big house, irrespective of floor area ratio, on half an acre. So it looks to me as if the real reason for asking for this front yard setback is because they want a really big house and they want a swimming pool. And I don't think those are hardships. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions for this witness? And I guess I'd like to respond too, and that is the variance is not dependent on what is being built. That was just a question to satisfy my own curiosity.
Oh, okay.
Just to share that piece.
Okay.
Thank you.
Before you go, how do you spell your last name?
I know already.
Perfect. Great. I wasn't sure if you were asking. She's on HPC.
Is there anyone else who'd like to give testimony? No one else? Last call?
Can I just, Cal, do you have anything to, say in response?
Yes, we understand the concerns that were raised. Those were all raised at the Historical Preservation Commission. Some of the same people testified then. That's really, each commission has their silo and what you're charged to do, and you're charged to look at the standards on the zoning variance and whether the existing house is on the National Registry is not relevant to these proceedings tonight. That was considered by the Historical Preservation Commission. They made their decision how they want to proceed. Under the code, this property is not landmarked, and it's not landmarked, and it is not part of an historical district. So none of that is relevant to these proceedings. We are not talking about water flow, as this first speaker mentioned. A very large house can be built on this property. As noted by the architect, an 11,000 square foot house can be built here as a matter of right. We're not asking for any floor area ratio. We're asking to build a reasonable sized house on a very large lot with a useful backyard. The hardships are glaring. I went through the hardships earlier just to repeat. It's a corner lot. It's at the end of the block. It's not part of the streetscape. The average is corrupted by houses as close as 33 feet, and that's where the structure is defined in the code, is 33 feet from the front yard setback, from the front setback line, so from the front yard all the way to 88 feet. The existing house actually is over 80 feet, and so if that house is torn down and no relief is granted, you still could build forward from the existing house. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get away from the ravine, we're trying to stabilize the ravine, and we don't want a house, the existing house right now is up against the ravine. And so you don't want, if you're replacing the house, and as we mentioned in all due respect to the people who spoke today, the house is functionally obsolete, and we're looking, the applicant is looking to build a new home on this property and get it away from the ravine in order to protect it. And to do that is to move it forward and also to allow for a functioning backyard. So the site context, the topography, the existing streetscape is all driving this request, and we request that based on this concept, that a variation be granted.
More questions?
Yeah, I think some of the concerns that I heard was that allowing this variance would, and then building this home would impact kind of the character of the area. And just so I have this right, this area has a lot of historical homes on it, right?
Yes, well, so as mentioned by one of the speakers, there's new homes and there's old homes. And one of the standards is it will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood.
Right.
And the essential character of the neighborhood is how this lines up. I'll argue that it really how this lines up with the rest of the block. And the fact of the matter is there's a house directly to the west that's closer to the street than we're proposing, but we are not going to be resetting the boundaries of getting a house closer to the street. So we're not going to alter the essential character of the neighborhood. That's frankly altered by 203 being 33 feet setback from, rather having 30 feet front yard setback. What we're asking to do is basically be set back further than the house next to it, so we're not altering the essential character. You could make that argument on any house that is torn down in Highland Park that you would, because you're changing the existing streetscape by building a new house, that would alter the essential character. I would submit that that's not the case. I think the purpose of the ordinance is to allow how, and this, the ordinance that we're speaking of, the variation we're seeing, is so houses can line up together. As you can see, houses are not lining up. The only houses that are lining up are 230, 235, and 215 on very deep lots that have very large backyards. And I would say it'd be discriminatory to allow those houses to have very large backyards, and then in this situation, we're not having a basically usable backyard because you're requiring it to be comparable to houses that have much deeper lots. And that is, I'm sorry, I have a client who keeps calling me. But so that's our point. And I know each case is unique, but I believe in the last 6 months there was a case on Linden or Cedar where very similar where the lots had different length, different depths. And the zoning board found that helps skew the average of this front yard setbacks because those houses had the ability to be pushed back further because the lots were deeper.
Okay.
So
If you were just rebuilding over the same house, you wouldn't need to come for a variation, correct?
no, if we could move it 12 feet, when we're at 80 feet, we can go to 68 feet. We could actually do 12 feet closer, but we're still too close to the ravine. And so the existing home, if the existing home is actually sloping into the ravine, and we're trying to pull it back and get it away from the ravine because obviously one of the things that we look at is to stabilize the ravines and having structures as far away as possible from that. So I believe the existing home would be close to being in the street, in the steep slope zone.
Do I have to come up there?
I believe I'm speaking.
I'm sorry.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Like usually when we get these packets, we have, some architectural drawing of the house and square footage and maybe some description of the aesthetics. Do you not think that providing that information or having that information for us is relevant to our analysis?
In the past, the staff has allowed us to file site plan variance requests. Obviously it's a very expensive proposition. This is be a very expensive home to design. And in the past, and Planner Hoffman can confirm, is that they allowed me on behalf of clients to submit a site plan as in the context of trying to see if a variance would be acceptable, because then you could turn around and spend a lot of money trying to design the home. And so We're following the staff's directive and Planner Hoffman can further opine that it's proper for us to move forward without those elevations and floor plans and other things when we're talking about how we're siting the homes, and the staff allowed us to file the application in its current form.
I'd like to respond to that. I would say that we allow the application to do just the site plan, but that is the applicant's choice. That's their risk. You can ask for whatever information you'd like. If you'd like more clarity, that's something that they would need to provide. If Cal's correct, it is a lot of money and resources that go towards it, but that is the applicant's risk on what you provide. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions for Cal? No, thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, if you'd like to come up to the podium.
It's not real, but My name is Lori Rosenthal. My dad is.
I'm sorry. I get to do the drill.
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
I can, and I just need to swear you in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you affirm that the testimony that you intend to provide this evening or questions asked is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you.
I'm like a 5-year, my dad and a family who's 89 now, we are, unlike everyone else who has spoken, we are east. We are one house east of 175. And my dad, we've been there for 40 years, which is when I think the Melmans bought their property. Yeah, my concerns would just be also about the character and so on. It is, so many neighborhoods in Highland Park are changing, and not necessarily for the better, in my estimation. And, we are, one of the few, like I said, who have been there for 40 years, and in a house that's comparable to the larger than that house that's currently slightly larger than the one that's currently there now, which I believe is 6,000 square feet, if I'm not mistaken. But I've been looking at it for a long time, since we've lived there for a long time. I guess that's all. I don't know what I wanted to say. Can I ask if the property has been sold? Can I ask that? Or has the property been sold to these applicants, or it's not the Melmans, presumably, I don't know, who are building that house? Has the property been sold, and is that sale contingent upon the demolition of this house? Can I ask that, or is that public knowledge, or?
Patrick, could you?
I can just state that the homeowners are allowing this application to go forward, and the applicant is asking for this request.
Okay, so it has not been sold, is that correct?
I don't know I don't know the situation of that.
Because we've been curious about that, because it's been on the market for, I would say, the last 4 years, on and off. And evidently, Mrs. Melman is still there, but we rarely see her, so that's all I wanted to say. Obviously, an 11,000 square foot house will not be, that would be totally inappropriate. As you said, that's not what's going to be built. But, and 203 is kind of an outlier on that street. That house it's, I would say, a more contemporary house, but it's not, it's not illustrative of a lot of the houses on that block or east, or most of them east. But, so that's been your basis for comparison, using that garage. Anyway, that's all I want to say. So I have, I've been curious as to what is going on with that house, for a long time, and now we see that, destruction is possibly in the cards, and I was just curious as to what is going to be there, and yeah, that's all I wanted to express.
Thank you.
That's it.
Does the board have any questions for this witness? Thank you. I'm going to, Patrick, I have some more questions, and I don't know if the rest of the board does too. It's been brought up that it's, using the garage versus the home for the setback.
So
Can you
yes,
speak to
that
that?
is, since it is attached to the house, that is what the setback for the measurement for the EBS is what they are allowed to use.
Okay, thank you. Does the board have more questions for Patrick? Okay, well,
Go back up.
sure, yeah, you need to come back up.
Would you like me to state my name again?
Actually, for the minute taker, that would be helpful, but you're already
Lauren
sworn in.
Wood.
Yeah, thank you.
Just a couple comments, because I did mention that there are some newer homes in the neighborhood. However, there are no new homes on this block. I think the newest home was probably built in the 70s or 80s perhaps. And that's, as we talk about the character of this community, just last week I said to my husband, God, I love our neighborhood, it's so beautiful. And the only newer homes in our neighborhood within probably a 6-block radius have been built on vacant lots or homes that have been torn down that are from the 90s or early 2000s that were like those mini mansions and not historical homes. I know that's not the intent tonight, is to save this historical home, which we all love and care for, but the setback with the neighbor's house on the west to line up with the garage, all those houses are a little bit farther back and they do have deeper lots, but I do think that it's hard to make a decision tonight, I would assume with all of you and the board here tonight, when you don't specifically have the details of the architectural drawings or plans or know the exact square footage of the home. I mean, 11,000 square feet could be built, but does it need to be so close to the road where it would be this, feel like, a sore thumb kind of sticking out in this very beautiful historical neighborhood. I have gone through the zoning board experience. I had to sit through 3 of these on my own to get a variance for my garage that's being built currently under construction. The tree thing is kind of bothersome to me because we had to move our plans significantly for a heritage tree that was 29 point something centimeters, I forget whatever the dimensions were. It wasn't quite there, but it was close enough. And our whole project was moved and we had to do light impact studies and hire attorneys and all this rigmarole for this beautiful tree that we did end up saving. But from what I understand, the tree that is in question that is trying to be saved here is not a heritage tree. And I would feel very, I don't know, just kind of discouraged that it took me 3 meetings to go through to save this heritage tree while this tree is not, and it feels like the whole house is getting moved up to the front of the road, impacting the charm and character of the neighborhood when, it's not a heritage tree and could easily be taken down. Because I'm in real estate, I just wanted to comment quickly on the question that was asked if the house has been sold. According to the MLS, it has not closed, so I don't think it has sold, although I don't know if there was a transaction closed off the books that hasn't hit the tax records yet. However, it has been on the market for on and off over 4 years. Most of that time it has been on the private MLS, which has not been fully exposed to the market. And there are young families like me that are willing to restore these homes. And even if we're not talking about the historic, preservation of the architectural significance of the home, because that has come and gone. I do think that even with the house hasn't really fully been exposed, I would say, to have, other people try to restore it. So that's all I wanted to comment on was with the closing of the home. I think that's all I had. Oh, and there was a comment about functionally obsolete. I wasn't sure if that was in regards to the inside of the home or the way that the home is positioned on the lot. But again, I restored a functionally obsolete home and made it functional. So I'm not sure if that's what the comment was in regards to the inside of the home. But again, from what I understand and see from the people that have lived in the home, they have been functionally using the home as it sits on the lot currently. And although our home, I don't know why it was only built 34 feet from the lot 100 years ago, but our 34-foot yard is plenty of front yard to play in, and we sit out there all the time. And this front yard is definitely a lot of space to play and hang out. So thank you for your consideration this evening.
Thank you again. Question? No, is there anyone else that would like to speak before the board starts to opine? No? Okay. In that case, I'm going to go to my right and say, Member Chase, what are your thoughts so far?
My concern is that I'm looking at the plan right now, and council said it was, and the architect said it was more a concept than a plan, because my question would have been, had we had something a little more developed, is there a way to build it back a little further? Because I think this is, they're asking for 28.5 feet into the established setback. That's the number, correct, Patrick? That sounds like that's a lot. And my question would have been, can it be moved back? Is there a way to achieve what you want to achieve and allow for a larger, something more in line with the rest of the setbacks? Because I understand that we don't have a true building line here, that everyone's kind of all over the place, but this does seem like a big move forward. But because it's not plans, I'm not sure if that's something that can be addressed. So maybe I may be asking a question. So I apologize.
Member Weisberg.
Yeah, so our job here is just to assess this based off the standards. And I do believe the standards have been met. And I would just like to point out that when we talk about the variation not altering the essential character of the neighborhood, we're not talking about the type of house that's being built necessarily or what it looks like. We're just talking about the fact that it's being built closer to the street. And yeah, I believe, a good case was made by Mr. Bernstein and the applicant, and I would actually move to approve the request.
Okay, thank you. Member Krushansky?
Yeah, I think that there is a good argument to be made that all the standards elements have been met, but I am a little bit uneasy moving forward with the variance without seeing any type of plans. This is, you have concepts of a plan, whatever that means. And I think as of right now, I would be uncomfortable granting the variance without seeing seeing drawings of the house, what this house is going to look like, and the aesthetics, because I don't think you can truly make a firm determination as to whether or not it's going to alter the character of the neighborhood without seeing what it looks like. So at this point, I would be a no, but if I have more information as to what's being built and how big it is and what it looks like, I think I would be an easier yes.
Okay, and I agree with both Member Krushansky and Chase that I'm left with some more questions about the essential character of the neighborhood, and that it would not be altered based on this variance. With that in mind,
Knowing how the zoning board works, and the fact you only have 4 members here this evening and listening to the comments, knowing that we need 4 votes in order, so we would need a unanimous in the hearing. That's not what, you're not there yet, and we appreciate that. We would request a continuance. We will go back and see what we can do to try to address the concerns that were raised. We'll see if we can move the house back a little bit and to try to create a larger front yard setback. And if we can try to at least hone in on the size of the house and what the style may be, to try to address that. And so we hear your message loud and clear, and we would request a continuance for that reason.
I'm just going to interject here.
Please.
When do you think you'd be ready by? Because the next,
I don't do that, let me ask the architect. Okay, hold on. Can I just call the client real quick?
yeah, go for it.
Okay, thanks.
Just for your reference, the next meeting is in 2 weeks, and then the next available meeting is July 17th, because July 4th it is canceled.
We're not doing July 4th.
No, I'm not bringing everyone in for it.
And
So yeah, so while we're getting that information, we can continue this case to a date that would work for the client. And then if we do that, they would not need to do another public notification. If we did not do that, they would have to renotice and do the notice requirement again.
okay, are we waiting though to have the date before we speak?
Yeah.
Okay, then I will take this moment to address the people that have come to speak tonight. Thank you. Your commentary is very helpful to us and is appreciated. Also, if anyone missed it, if you want further information from this meeting, there's the sign-up sheet by the podium to make sure that you have your name and address so Patrick can share any information with you.
Yeah, that's correct. Generally, this is when the case is resolved, whether it's approved or denied, the process and what the rules are is that we would send you the approval or denial letter and just follow up with you. If you do not want that information, if you're just fine with just looking it up online or looking at the videos, you do not need to sign this documentation. I won't send you a letter, but if you would, just provide the information here.
Thank you. And just to further clarify for the people sitting, they have asked for a continuance, which we are going to grant. We're just waiting to hear what meeting is the appropriate time.
I mean, this is all we have left. Yeah, there's nothing really to continue to. Yeah, I'll say I'll give them a couple minutes, and then I'll
Okay.
let them know, like, hey, if you don't have an answer, we'll just set it to next available or July 17th. And
They're coming.
cool.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Apologize. We, after talking to the architect and talking to the client, I don't believe we're going to be able to get plans together in the next couple days, so we could submit, so we're going to request the July 17th date.
Okay. Thank you.
So could we direct a motion to continue this to the next, or July 17th?
And I would just mention, I know you have your new procedure. I would encourage those who are here tonight to sign in, so they would, if get any type of notice regarding the continue, or receive anything from staff regarding that.
I did it while you were outside.
Oh, you did? Okay, see? Great minds think alike. Yeah.
When do we get the material submitted for the July?
Yeah, it's done, yeah.
I mean, it's a work in progress.
Are we going with the July 17th date? And
Yeah, I mean,
The architect before.
it needs to be at least 2 weeks before the meeting because of the July 4th holiday.
Some meeting in July. That's June 30th.
No, we're still not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could go for it if we don't, if we fail.
We could ask for more, we could ask for a further extension. If we can't get it done, we'll come back and get another date. Okay, great.
Is that okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so with that in mind,
I'd motion to continue this to the July 17th meeting.
do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, that's Member Chase. Thank you. And that, we can move on now to.
Yeah, can you just say all in favor? and
Oh, my gosh.
You're all good.
All in favor of continuing this to the July 17th meeting?
Aye.
Do we need a roll call vote?
You're good with you're good with that.
Okay, so unanimous aye for continuing this to the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now on to the staff report. Sorry, for the people in the audience, you can feel free to stay or leave, your choice. But Patrick is fascinating. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But we are going to ask you to have any conversation outside, please, so we can continue this meeting.
I don't have a staff report. I just wanted to update you that the 2714 Sheridan, I believe that was the address, the one that was continued to this meeting has been withdrawn, so you will not be seeing that item. So
Okay.
that's
thank
just
you.
a FYI. But I don't have any other items for you.
Okay, so nothing miscellaneous either?
Nope.
Okay, so I guess, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I will motion to adjourn.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, we are adjourned.